You know, when the colonel said, "We will have something to say," you will have something to say. So, but first off, this tremendous gift, and I need to say a little something about that. And my wife, Gita, will remember this trip when I went to a professional conference before I re-entered the military to Fort Sam. And I saw the real lifelike, greater than lifelike statue of this at Fort Sam. And something stirred within, and I knew I was headed back toward the military. But I do want to thank the Academy. Oh no, this is not the Academy Awards. But I do want to thank a few people, because without them it couldn't have happened. So I want to recall, and I'm very glad, by the way, that we got the theater, because then I could make more remarks. If y'all were standing in ranks, it would be a little more difficult. So I entered the military actually by way of the draft. I'm probably one of the few people still in uniform who has been drafted. And the bus pulled up to Fort Ord, California, a lovely place that unfortunately is now closed. And a uniformed person, I didn't know any ranks then, came to the bus, and I'd seen it in the movies. I figured, you know, it begins now. And the sergeant came on the bus and said, "Welcome to the United States Army." So I got off the bus, and he said, kind of give me a formation here, told us where that was. I went to the reception station. Nobody yelled at me. I said, "Oh, Army's pretty nice." I met some guys there, you know, there some comradeship, and I've appreciated always in my military career comradeship, soldiers to serve with. So I met some guys there, and then we went to basic training, and then it was on. So, but I do want to remember my drill sergeant. My drill sergeant's name was Sergeant Pagan, and I will bet to a man in the audience that every one of you can remember the name of your drill sergeant, because it's the drill sergeant that teaches soldiership, to help soldiers make the conversion from civilian life to military life. So I remembered him. He said, "I'm sure he ate nails for breakfast." He had been to infantry platoon sergeant in Vietnam. He explained to us all, "I'm trying to save your life." So actually the people that saved my life were the AMED trainers at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I've often said that everything I needed to know, I learned at Fort Sam. So Fort Sam training did save my life, and I was able actually to use the skills I learned there to save some others too. So another thing that happened, another person I'd like to recognize is my platoon leader during my combat tour, because I got an amazing lesson in leadership. The story is, some of you have heard me tell this story, we were operating in the jungle, and we were ordered off a perfectly good landing zone where a helicopter could land and bring us food, water, and mail, the important things to infantry. But the lieutenant ordered us off into the jungle. And one of the soldiers took his M203 and pointed it at the lieutenant. Now, we called the lieutenant behind his back Chicken Man, because when he walked, he kind of went like this. And so the soldier, I'll just call him Frank, put his 203 into the lieutenant's chest and said, "Chicken Man, we ain't moving." All of us were transfixed, awed. What would happen next? The lieutenant put down the barrel of the weapon and said, "Go ahead, Frank, use your weapon." I said, "Wow, they teach that in OCS?" You know, he came up with it just like that. So anyway, the result was, Frank put down his weapon, and we stayed on that landing zone. And nothing was ever said about it. Frank was never punished, nor did anyone ever speak of it again until I was lucky enough to go to a reunion about 30 years later. And then we all talked about it. So, the lieutenant gave me quite a lesson in leadership, courage. So, at the end of the war, I came home. It was not a good time for veterans. So I had a period of time out of uniform. Stronger men than me. One present, Mike Fry, Colonel Flaherty, Bob Wadey, not present, stayed in uniform. So, how did I get back into the uniform? I went to nursing school, and at the end of my nursing school career, I saw a recruiter poster, just like we have the recruiters now put up posters. They're trying to get the new kids. And here was this young guy about my age wearing a white tunic with a lieutenant bar on it. And I said, oh, that looks cool. I really did like the uniform. The uniform was always pretty cool, but I just got married. My son is on the way. I'd never talked with my wife about a military career. Wasn't anything I ever thought that I would want to return to. So I thought, well, that'd be nice. I put that away. Next thing that happened is Desert Storm. So, Desert Storm changed the whole opinion of the public, and we were heroes again. So I decided, that would be a good thing to do. I'd watched, everything I could see on the news about my team, 101st Airborne Division, playing in Desert Storm, and it looked good. And do you know, to this day, there are Vietnam veterans that greet every plane when people deplane, because they're so appreciative that they don't want any other troops to not miss a greeting, because we didn't get all that good of a greeting. You remember, Mike. So it turned out that I was looking for a part-time job to supplement my income, and I saw Lieutenant Galvin's recruiting ad in a nursing journal. It said, wanted combat nurses part-time. So I can go to combat part-time? That sounds good to me. So I signed up. And I came to the 143rd Evacuation Hospital across the street, and I signed up. I did have a conversation with my wife about this. I explained to her, we've just had the end of a war. Wars come every 20 years. I learned in sociology school. It's cool. I can just serve and there won't be any action. Well, that wasn't to be. So I did sign up, and when I arrived, I was assigned a mentor and sponsor, and that is now Major Coy, Tom, that came. Thank you for coming, Tom. So Tom was to teach me about the Army, but actually taught me a lot about the Air Force. Because Tom had been Air Force enlisted. So Tom and I have been friends ever since. So thank you for all the help, Tom. Another leadership lesson came to me, and I don't know the name of the specialist, but I was a young lieutenant, newly commissioned, and I was put on a detail. I think it was to move some furniture, real important med task. I told the specialist, do it this way or something like that. And the specialist said to me, why are we going to do it that way, sir? Now, I came from the old Army. When the lieutenant talked to you, you ask how high on the way up. So I left. I said, well, I'm a new guy here. I don't want to make a fuss. So I came around and sought counsel from, my former nurses, and they said, oh, you don't understand. This is the new Army. You were in that old Army. This is the new Army. Now we are kinder, softer, gentler Army now, and we don't talk to folks like that too much. So I learned a leadership lesson there. So I served in the 143rd for some time, and right about the year right about the year 2000, if you will remember, the restructuring of all medical happened. Our wonderful 143rd Evac Hospital, 176th Evac Hospital, and 175th Med Brigade were disbanded, and my mentor at the time, Colonel Tom Flaherty, said that I and several of a group would be good for us for leadership training to go to the U.S. Army Reserves with, you'll recall, Chauncey Beach. So Chauncey Beach was taking a position in the U.S. Army Reserve in this downsizing, and several of us went to the U.S. Army Reserve, and we went to a med group, a med command. So it was an interesting leadership position. Because I hadn't been there too long, and I was asked by a colonel, would you be the company commander? And oh, by the way, we're going on AT next week. So, damn, I've never refused the orders of a colonel. So, that's what you get for standing in formations and saying hooah real loud. So, Tom, you remember, I was in a tough spot. And my next leadership lesson came from a sergeant. The Army is run by sergeants. Sergeant Toe helped me to become an effective company commander. So, you cannot do it alone. You're only as good as the people that serve with you. So, I was able to effectively do that, and when I could escape back to my beloved California Army National Guard, I did. Because the USAR medical folks act like they're the infantry. They act tougher than active duty medical folks who you all know are quasi-military. So I was very pleased to come back to the medical detachment, and I was greeted by many of the people on the stage here and everybody else to welcome back with a new mission, the medical detachment. So it's been a good mission. I was called up along with several of you. My wife will recall Valentine's Day 2004. Yeah. Instead of roses and dinner, I was off to Fort Lewis, Washington. Am I wrong? Huh? Yeah. So, we go to Little Rock first? Okay. Little Rock, okay. So I was off. So she was kind of mad about that. But on my wife's window of her car is a little sticker that I got for her. It says, Army wife, toughest job in the Army. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, my promotion, my idea for my retirement was, gee, I made major. That's good enough. Because, you know, when you've been a private, becoming a lieutenant is tremendous. Captains walk on water and leap tall buildings in a single bound. I never thought I would be promoted to major, and people were suggesting I try to get promoted to lieutenant colonel. It's actually my son Andy that's in the audience, and Colonel Dominguez that encouraged this, so without your encouragement, I'd probably be a major today. So during this time, in summary, I found that all of the Army values boil down to one thing. The Army values all indicate that we should always do the right thing. So what is it to do the right thing? To treat other people the way we would wish to be treated. So I have tried to live this in my military life. And I will take that with me when I go. Another thing that I've learned, kind of the last thing in summary, is to live by Semper Gumby. Okay. Then, medical Detachment Senior Medical NCO Sweeney during a very difficult period of reorganization, constant reorganization, and he's present today, continually reminded us, Semper Gumby, always flexible. So these are some of the values that I'm taking with me as I go. I've been asked, are you going to join the SMR? That's where old officers go. But unfortunately, I'm living in Arizona. I don't know if they have a similar program. However, near me is a Civil Air Patrol unit, and my son Andy benefited tremendous from Civil Air Patrol. So if they need medical personnel and I go in like uniform withdrawal, from not wearing a uniform, I'm considering going up and checking out the Civil Air Patrol unit. So I'm leaving behind a new medical detachment, pending a new home in the north, a new home in the south, increasing roles. Recently, we've been given the responsibility, not necessarily all of the authority, to do the H1N1 mission, second year in a row, and have the idea that we can take on more and continue to grow. So it'll be the young leaders, some are in the room, that will be taking over. And you'll be the best that the California Army National Guard has seen. So I salute all of you. So thank you, man. Yes, thank you for coming.
And I think we all are very appreciative of that. I know my life was so much richer, and I value the times we've had together in learning and growing together as officers. And I don't think I quite felt sufficient filling your shoes as XO.
Thank you, pass me up, sir.
But I know that I speak for all of us in wanting to say thank you for all your hard work. You've made the MedDet what it is today, and I think we are a much richer and much greater organization for that. And thank you. Behind every soldier is a committed and loyal family. And we wouldn't be who we are without them. And I think the acknowledgement of family is extremely important, because they're the ones that stay home, and they're the ones that are there allowing us to go out and do our jobs, supporting our country, our state on various missions. And they're home to greet us when we come back. And I want to thank the women and the family. I'll do that. Pam, it's an honor that you're here, and thank you very, very much for supporting this young man. And for our gratitude, we'd like you to have this gift.
Thank you.
thank all of you for attending today and being a part of this honored celebration, and it is truly honored. A lot of time and commitment that Colonel Lamunyon has put into his military career, and I think we are all the better for it that he has spent a part of his life with us. Thank you, Colonel Lamunyon. Very much. Major Coy, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't a roast, but anyway. I got an email. I never answer my emails. I might call people by their first names because I can get them out faster, okay? But, you know, guys send me this email and say, hey, Tom, you can come on down to my retirement thing on Sunday so-and-so. I'd be happy to have you come down. I'd love to have you come down. And I had, you know, really wanted to do that. I did have some leave scheduled. I was scheduled for leave this past Monday through Friday and extended for a couple of days so I could be here. I could stand here for hours talking about God, but I won't do that. But I'm going to highlight some things to kind of give you an idea of kind of our relationship over the past, 20 years, 19, 15, something like that. But anyway, I'm looking at a lot of familiar faces here, a lot of familiar faces. Really glad to see you folks. Got the boy nurses here. You know who we are. And the ladies that I knew. When I came into this unit, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Back in 1966, I do remember the name of my platoon sergeant. His name was Sergeant Gay C. Clay. Air Force, mind you. Okay. But it's a totally different type of basic training with the Air Force. So anyway, I spent 66 to 70, I was in the Air Force, was out for like 19 years. I was working at the VA hospital over here in Long Beach, and there's a fellow by the name of Ed Schmidt. Fellas, ladies remember Ed Schmidt? Comes up to me, he's one of the nurses, says, hey, you know, boy, you want to join the Army, you know, National Guard? Why would I want to do that? He says, well, it's really cool, you know, why don't you come one weekend, you know, and see what we do? So I think it might have been like in April. I kind of came on up to the unit, and it was like land navigation day, you know, weekend, okay? Some of us remember what land navigation was in those days? Huh? Easter egg hunt? Right? That just did it for me. My wife, you know, Cheryl, God bless her, she was a military brat. My father-in-law was a retired Navy chief attached to the Marine Corps. And so she had no problem with me kind of going back in. So I came back in 1988 in May and started with the unit with the 143rd Evac costume. I loved it. Greatest thing that ever happened to me. Loved putting a uniform on, loved coming to drill, loved ATs. And I could tell you about the ATs. Camp Shelby, New Orleans, in between, but that's another story. But the one thing I want to tell you is that Colonel Lamunyon guided me through my whole career while I was with the 143rd. I probably wouldn't be a major today if it wasn't for him. I'd probably be a third lieutenant. I mean, first lieutenant, a captain, something like that. But anyway, really well. We moved along at an exciting time. I went with him over to the 176 medical group. I was with him on that AT that we went to. We drove up and he was the company commander. But I'll tell you, the best company commander job was the 143rd. I was the company commander of the 143rd. And yeah, I remember Colonel Flaherty said to me, he goes, Tom, said, well, why don't you become the company commander? We need somebody. I guess it was Lieutenant Walker Shaw was doing it. So I said, okay. So I went over there, and the first thing the sergeant got around me and said, sir, I go, yes, you don't have to do anything. I said, what do you mean? He says, we'll do everything. I said, this is good. You know, these are the sergeants. They took care of me. I think the hardest thing I had to do was to sign over Christmas holidays all the commissary cards, all 425 of them. I sat there, but it was a great time. I loved it. I still do. Passed my MRD. I'm still with the Army. I'm starting my 6th year voluntarily of working with the CBWTU up in Sacramento. And I remember Valentine's Day 2004. I I was supposed to go on that mission beginning then, but I didn't. They just didn't have me go. And I remember a year later, Colonel Lamunyon says, Tom, I need to get back to the VA. He says, would you want to take that job? I said, I was thinking about what I'm doing. I work for Kaiser. I'm a nurse practitioner. I said, you know what? It's a good time to take a break. And I started on that mission to CBWTU. I know some of you folks probably are familiar with that. But it's been a great experience. I love that work. Working with the soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan and kind of doing, getting set up with their medical care. I just want to say thank you. I'm just glad I could be here today. Oh yeah, we used to take motorcycles to the AT. One time I had this boat trailer, I converted to a motorcycle trailer. And we rolled up at San Luis Obispo, and I don't know who was in charge, and just kind of looked at us and what the hell are you up here for? You know, hey, we're at AT. But kind of did a lot of stuff like that. Huh? Okay. But just want to say that follow this man anywhere, one of the finest officers that the Army ever had. Whenever I asked him for a favor or anything to do, he was the first one to jump and do it. And he's been a really close friend. As a matter of fact, I think you fired one of my daughters.
I did.
Right, minister. Okay. So he's been a family person and everything, and feeding the family, watching the boys grow up, my daughters grow up. It's just been fantastic. Well, you know what? You guys got a lot to do. More to say, so I'm going to kind of just leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Those are great stories. And I know we all have many of them. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to come forward, say a few words? Anybody who wants to jump up? Oh, you're not.
Should have left me out. You know, what can I say? 140 Back Hospital, I was a young PFC. I think Colonel McIlvain was a young lieutenant. And a lot of these people in the room, we grew up together in the military. Those that have served overseas, thank you for what you do. Those that are here working a medical mission like you do every day, day in, day out, thank you. You don't realize how much that's worth in the military, especially in the Army National Guard. It is a huge thing. When I deployed, I just got back going through the medical that we always talked about when I was there. Treat people like you want to be treated. And I'm telling you, you guys are top notch. This whole unit is. Colonel Lamunyon, you have the greatest gift in the world, friendship and family. And this unit is a family, and you are going to be sorely missed. Even though I'm not here anymore, I'll still miss you.
I know your heart's here.
It's always here. It's always here. So, like I said, sir, it's been an honor and privilege to work with you.
Thank you, Sergeant Major Sweeney. Appreciate that very much. Again, thank you all for coming to this honored occasion. If you would, join us afterwards for refreshments in the lobby. And if you would now stand for the